And I want to talk a little bit about some state politics, too. Now, right now down in Montgomery, it is like mass chaos. Mass chaos down there. They're trying to. We're going to find out today whether or not they're even going to pass a budget here in this special session. And as I said earlier in the program, if you had told me in 2010 that after Republicans are swept into power, that we would have a Republican governor pushing tax increases, Republican legislative leadership pushing tax increases and being beaten back by a relatively small number of staunch conservative legislators trying to push back against them and block that stuff, I would have like, no way. It's like, surely not in 5 years. Maybe a little bit longer. Maybe in 10 years we'll have that. But I saw an interesting comment from the governor this morning, and he said that he believes the problem is that there are too many Republicans. He said that we have nobody to oppose as Republicans, so now we're just eating each other. What was your take on that? And I don't want to get you in a situation where you're not directly responding to the governor on this, but just the whole idea that Republicans have consolidated control across the state, and now you're seeing a lot of Republican on Republican violence. You're also seeing, I would say also, if I'm wanting to run for office, even if I'm a lifelong Democrat, right now, if I want to get elected, I probably need to run as a Republican. And so the potential for the Republican Party brand to be watered down by that. So I say all that to kind of set the stage for, what's your take on the lay of the land here in the state right now?
I have been working for 38 years in the Republican Party. I started when I was 18 as a volunteer, just through campaigns always. And I will say those were lean years of not being in charge as far as having the authority to be in charge of the legislature, the governors, or statewide offices. I would much rather it be us there, having these conversations, pulling this stuff apart, dealing with each other than Democrats, period, end of sentence. They had their opportunity for 136 years. And I guess one could say that we are in some of the problems we are in now because of that history. So we have been in charge 5 years. The last 4 years have been unbelievably, pretty much smooth sailing. So absolutely everyone can work together. We're kind of in a hole right now, a $250 million problem with the budget. And I would rather our team sitting there doing this and working this out. It is not easy. It is challenging. But that's what people, when you raise your hand and say, I will go and serve if you elect me, people expect you to rise to that occasion. I did tell a group not long ago, if you were elected and you went to Montgomery and you said, I will raise your taxes if you elect me, then you need to raise their taxes. But if you held your hand up and said, I am not going to raise your taxes, then I would suggest logically that you follow that pathway. The Republican Party's responsibility is to build infrastructure to elect Republicans. Once the Republicans are elected, they become their constituents are their bosses, not the party.
Right.
The constituents. And so I always tell people, please go call your legislators, go call the governor's office, go call whoever you need to go talk to, your senator, your House member, and let them know, because if you don't, someone else will get in their ear and tell them, and they need to hear the support of the people out there.
I think that is spot on, because these guys, it's tough. They get down in the Montgomery bubble, and all they hear is a lobbyist in one ear and other, their other legislative leaders in the other ear yelling at them to do this, and they're not hearing from the folks back home, and it's easy to lose sight of what they're, what the folks want them to do. You mentioned a second ago that the party's role is to build an infrastructure to elect Republicans. I think that's accurate. When I look at past administrations in the state party here, I found that they could often get kind of caught up in some backbiting, that it was more about, well, I don't like what this particular elected official's doing, I'm going to try to undermine that in the party. There's all this kind of infighting and petty stuff. And I guess I'm curious to hear, what do you feel like the party's role is, if any, in I don't know how the right word to say for this. Holding elected officials accountable is maybe not the right way to say it, but the Republican Party stands for something. Okay, people when they hear the Republican Party, you think limited government, lower taxes, less regulation, free markets, pro-family, pro-life. What happens when you have elected officials that break from these things that I would say these are core principles? What's the party supposed to do in those situations, if anything?
Well, we do meet twice a year, and in between those times, we do have resolutions that come up from the floor, and we vote on them. For example, on increasing taxes. At the February meeting, it was, it was, if it wasn't 99% of the members there that voted on a resolution to do not raise our taxes, limited taxes. A lot of people say, the party don't want any taxes. That's not true. I don't know party members that have ever said zero taxes. You have to have something to, the roads and hospitals and everything that we do, everything. Is touched somehow, but we fed the beast for so long. That's part of the problem, and it doesn't seem to ever, it needs to go on a diet, actually. But our role is we need to support our people and be there for them, but they really are. Their bosses are the voters. And so we will say things. I've sent letters, and I keep talking to them. Now, we're not quiet, but eventually they're responsible for their votes for themselves.
All right, August 22nd, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is coming to the state of Alabama to keynote the Alabama Republican Party's summer luncheon in Talladega. You can go to algop.org to pick up tickets for that. I'll be there. Chairwoman Lathan's going to be there. Everybody's going to be there. If you're a Republican in the state of Alabama, you need to be at this event. Support the party. It's going to be a great time. We'll keep pushing that out for more information on that. I'm going to tweet the link again here in just a minute. Terry, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, Cliff Sims, Yellowhammer Radio. We'll take a quick break here, and we will come back. I don't know, we may talk a little bit more robot love, Steve.